Well, hello everyone. Cowboy Star back at you. I hate to be the one to say I told y'all so, but I did. If y'all saw my last video, you know good and well that I told the truth. Cowboys did it. Everything, I mean everything I said they couldn't do to lose this game, they did it. They could not stop the run as we figured they wouldn't be able to. Jones ran all over us. But what was surprising enough, we couldn't stop the pass even worse than the run. There was one wide receivers for the Packers running wild on us, man. Wide open, just wide open. And Jordan Love, we didn't put a finger on Jordan Love. I said we had to get to him. No, no, we didn't. I don't know what happened to Dan Quinn's defense, but let the man go on and get a head coaching job. We need, but I'm going to say something in defense of Dan Quinn. We don't have all the pieces that are needed for his defense to work, but that thrashing, I mean, that's a coaching issue there too in this game. That's the worst game that he coached all year. It's the worst game McCarthy coached all year. We were totally out-schemed. We were totally out-coached. We were totally outplayed. The players didn't look like they were interested. None of the details were covered. The Packers had a plan. They had a plan. They were going to attack us in a way that we hadn't been attacked this year. And they did it. They executed the plan to perfection. Before we knew it, we were down 27 to nothing. Of course, Dak, he had his deer in the headlight moment that he always gets in those big playoff games. Yeah, during the regular season when he's playing the Giants and the Panthers and teams like that, yeah, he mops up. But get him in a big time game, he's not going to be the guy. He's not that guy. Dak is an average quarterback. When you can't run the ball and you have Dak Prescott as your quarterback and you're playing a top seeded team, you're not going to win. It's just not going to happen. He can't take over the game. And once again, he proved to us that he can't handle it. He can't take the team on his shoulders. Like I said, Dak, deer in the headlights again, threw 2 picks, one for a pick 6. That really broke our back, and I know once that happened, the game was over with. But we never have been able to sustain a running game all year long. Tony Pollard was not really fully 100% coming into the season. They should have had a backup plan. And I'm going to go over what I think our needs are in the draft before I get off here. But for sure, we need a stud running back, either by free agency or in the draft. And you can find them in the draft in the 3rd and 4th round. Good running backs. Why we didn't draft one last year, other than Mighty Mouse, whatever his name, Vaughn, he didn't even play the whole year, is a good story, but he's just too little. He's too little to play pro football. He's a little bitty dude. He can't carry the load. We need to get a big back, somebody about the size of A.J. Dillon on the Green Bay. Of course, he was out in this game, but somebody about that big that has a little speed. If we could get somebody like that, you can say what you want to. They let Zeke Elliott go. I think it hurt us a little bit without Zeke being there. That 1-2 punch we had with Zeke and Pollard was a good thing. But we didn't have that guy. Of course, Rico Dowdle, he had a few spurts, but he's always hurt for some reason or other. And on top of all this, did you hear the big news? Jerry Jones is bringing Mike McCarthy back for a lame duck season in his last year on his contract next year. And it's starting to look like Dan Quinn isn't going to get a head coaching job, and if he doesn't, he's going to be back next year. Because if you think about it, who's going to want to come and be the defensive coordinator if your head coach is in a lame duck season? They don't want to work 1 year and then have to go look for another job. So you might as well bring Quinn back if he doesn't get one of these jobs interviews that he's interviewed for. I'm hoping he does, but it doesn't look like he's going to. What a debacle, man. There's so many things this team needs. Number one, I spoke about it in the last video. The coaching staff does not know how to enforce and imprint the details in these players' mind. They're just out there hully-gully. They are not focused on the details, and that'll get you beat, as I said in the last video, and that's exactly what happened. The Cowboys got out finessed, they got out physicaled, and they got out coached and played all the way around. There's nothing else you can say. It was just a total comedy of errors out there on the Cowboys' part, and now they're sitting at home watching teams that they really are better than, technically, but in reality, they're not better because they're sitting at home. There's a few areas of need that I think the Cowboys, I'm going to ask the question, so what and how do we even come close to fixing this problem that the Cowboys had this postseason, one and done once again? First of all, Dak is not going anywhere. If y'all think we're getting rid of Dak, keep on thinking. He ain't going nowhere. First of all, if he was to leave, who would you get to replace him? Who would be a viable replacement for Dak? If you don't have an answer for that, don't even come at me with that. Dak is not the best quarterback, and he's not the worst. He's just an average guy, average quarterback with an upside. He's got some games, excuse me, some games are better than others. He just happened to lay an egg in this game when we needed him most, and he has a tendency to do that. He's not a leader, a field general, let me put it that way. He's a good leader. He's just not a field general like, say, a Peyton Manning, Joe Montana, those type quarterbacks back in the day. Even Troy Aikman. He's just not. And he probably never will be. But he's better than 90% of the other quarterbacks in the league. So it's kind of like a damn if you do, damn if you don't with Dak Prescott. And if you don't have, and don't tell me, what's his name? The guy we got from San Francisco, Lance. He's not the answer, guys. He couldn't even beat out Brock Purdy. He couldn't beat out Brock Purdy, and he couldn't beat out their backup. So, no, Trey Lance isn't ready. It's not. I don't know how he's doing in his progression with the Cowboys because we never even got to see him play. I'd like to see him play, see what he has in our system, but we didn't get that chance. So maybe in preseason next year we'll get to see him. We'll get to see him play. But we need to draft smart this year. The last two drafts we've had have been duds. We haven't had one good draft pick that really has excelled, especially in last year's draft. Mozzie Smith has not panned out. Overshown got hurt. I think Overshown might have a chance if he can come back healthy next year to be a viable player on the team. God knows we need linebackers. The players that we had playing linebacker this year they were just glorified safeties is what they were. They were too small. So I think the Cowboys need to draft two minimum stud linebackers, a minimum of 6'3", 240, 230, 240. Somebody with speed that can stop the run. That's why we couldn't. I think that's one of the main reasons we struggled stopping the run. We didn't have any good linebackers. And Van Der Esch, thank you for your service, but bye-bye. We don't need you anymore. You're too injury prone. Thank you for your service, and just go ahead on and retire because you're not the answer. You can't even make it through a whole season. You broke up. It's time to retire. The second thing the Cowboys need to do is like I said, they need to draft a running back or I would be okay with Henry from Titans if we could somehow get him. Somebody big like that that's durable, that can run through the tackles, that can, has decent speed. Tony Pollard, bless his heart, he tried, but he's just not a number one back. He's a better second string back coming in as a change of pace back. But we definitely need to draft. I would draft one myself because you can get good running backs in the third and fourth round. So that's what I would do in that situation. Now, to me, the biggest problem the Cowboys have that also attributes to why we can't run the ball is our offensive line, namely center. Our center is too small. We need to get a big center. They had a chance to draft a good one a couple of years ago, and they just passed on him. He came up right when our number was called, and they passed on him. His name is escaping me right now, but I do remember that we had that chance, and they kept Biotish, and Biotish he's getting manhandled up in the center of that line. They got to get another center, and we could use another guard or tackle too, because we don't even know what if Tyron Smith retires and Zach Martin retires. Then what are you going to do? We're in a big pickle then. It's just a lot of empty spots that the Cowboys need to address, and I could see us actually regressing this year. This was our golden opportunity to get far, at least to the championship, the NFC championship. But what do? We go one and done in the playoffs. Unbelievable. And the final thing I think we need to do is draft a good safety. Of course, we got two safeties that are actually playing linebacker, so maybe we could use those, if we draft a couple of good linebackers and use that pick for something else. But mainly, we need a center, we need linebackers, and we need a good running back. I think we're okay on offense other than that, unless you want to draft another good wide receiver. We can never have enough wide receivers. Even another quarterback, to develop whatever in the later rounds, whatever you want to do there. But the Cowboys stunk it up. They did what I thought they were going to do. As I said, if you'll go back and watch my last video, I in detail covered all the things that the Cowboys could not do if they wanted to win that game. And what did they do? They did exactly what I feared they'd do. They didn't show up. They didn't go over the details. They didn't cover the run. They didn't stop the pass. They made turnovers. They made penalties. Dak looked like a deer in the headlights. And it resulted in a loss, 48-32. And we wouldn't have got 32 if they wouldn't have started backing off and just letting us get garbage time yards and points. So hats off to Green Bay. Their coach actually coached a good game. Our coach sucked. And we just re-signed him for, oh, not re-signed him, but we're bringing him back for another year of his final year on the contract. So, hope you don't expect a whole lot next year, unless we go out in the free agent market and just go wild and have the best draft of any team. I just don't see it happening. Don't see it happening, folks. Well, that's pretty much all I got for y'all today. Be sure to subscribe to the channel and leave a comment. Let me know what you think about this loss we just had to the Green Bay Packers. Let me know what you think our chances are next year. With that being said, we'll catch you next time. I'm out.